Hey, Shalom, Shalom and Barakatah and Barakatham. To you believing brothers and sisters, blessings and peace, Shalom, Thum Yad, which is always unto the believing brothers and sisters, the hopeful elect. And I wanted to jump into this lesson here, which is the premise of it is from this article you see on the screen from www.cnbc.com. And this is going into what's going on, which there's so much going on day by day in the global economy, and which is all tied to prophecy. All of it is prophetic, meaning the words were already said in the Holy Scriptures before these things have started the process of coming to pass, which this is the last, or these are the last days. We're in the last days, and this is showing forth more and more because of what's going on worldwide. Now, there's basically global trade wars going on, and this is the beginning of the transition of power, is what I wanted to kind of speak on. And so Trump, Elon Musk, what's going on in the White House with the tariffs, which is causing the stock market to go crazy. It's causing protesters and protests all around the country. We're going to touch on that as well. And ultimately, chaos. Chaos and instability is what's going on. Chaos and instability. So let's read. China to impose a 34% retaliatory tariff, which is nothing but a tax, right, on all goods imported from the U.S. So everything that comes from America, right, by way of China, a 34% tax is going to be slapped on it, meaning the cost of whatever goods, raw materials, anything that's imported is going to be 34% more than what it normally would be. Now it says China's finance ministry on Friday said it will impose a 34% tariff on all goods imported from the U.S. starting on April the 10th. And that's coming up here just in a few days, in less than a week, actually. The ministry criticized Washington's decision to impose a 34% of additional reciprocal levies on China, bringing total U.S. tariffs against the country to 54%. So really, it equates to 54% more on goods that's coming, right, to from China to America. And so China retaliated. Now let's see what that's led to. U.S. stock futures and European markets fell sharply on news of reciprocal tariffs. So the stock market is going crazy right now. Mass instability once again. So that's what's coming of this. Chaos, instability, which is all prophetic, we know. It's all in the words of God, right? Everything that we see going on and what's about to happen, which is going to get worse, is everything that's been said, right, that this would happen in the last days. China's finance ministry on Friday said it will impose a 34% tariff on all goods imported from the U.S. starting on April the 10th, following duties imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration earlier this week. China urges the United States to immediately cancel its unilateral tariff measures and resolve trade differences through conciliation in an equal, respectful, and mutual beneficial manner, the ministry said, according to a Google translation. It further criticized Washington's decision to impose a 34% of additional reciprocal levies on China, bringing total U.S. tariffs against the country to 54% as inconsistent with international trade rules and seriously undermining Chinese interests as well as endangering global economic development and the stability of the production and supply chain. So the supply chain is going crazy right now, which is what we call or know to be trade, commerce, capitalism. All those things are tied together. International trade, commerce, capitalism. That's the flowing of goods and trade between nations and the agreements that these nations have in order for that to happen. So in order for people to get particular things, I saw today that people who smoke weed in these cannabis shops and all that all around is about there's going to be a tariff on that as well. There's going to be a tax on that as well. It's going to cause the cost of that to go through the roof, right? Now, what does all this mean? Let's go back. It's locked here. I thought I had it. Let's go back here. So what that's caused is, once again, the stock market to go crazy. The Dow plunges 2,000 points. 2,000 points. Now, this goes into all the numbers, which this is just causing chaos and uncertainty and instability, which that is daily, day trading, and also with the futures market. So the future don't look too good here in Babylon, basically, is what's going on with the moves that's being made, and ultimately worldwide. Now, so the Dow plunges 2,000 points. Now, what has that also caused? Here, this is from the usatoday.com, and it's dated, should be today or April the 4th. It says there's a movement bubbling up. Anti-Trump protesters plan nationwide Saturday. So tomorrow you're going to see protesters all over the country. My brother posted this in the chat, and I wanted to just touch on it. It says large protests, are expected across the United States on Saturday to express and voice discontent with President Trump's administration. Organizers aim to make the protests accessible by holding events in many places, including small towns. The protesters reflect growing momentum and dissatisfaction with Trump's policies on immigration, transgender rights, and the firing of federal workers. For weeks, people have gathered on small town street corners in major cities, state capitals, and the nation's capital to express displeasure and disbelief at the way President Donald Trump is running the country. And Donald Trump don't care because, hey, at this point, he has a mind frame of what does he have to lose. The largest protest by far is expected on Saturday at hundreds of locations around the country. Nationwide, with more than 500,000 people have RSVP'd to attend one of the 1,000 rallies and marches or protests. So when you go on to read it, even talks about even more. So that's the people that's RSVP. It's believed there's going to be a few million, 2+ million people. We'll see. Now, what does all that mean? It means that there's chaos and instability going on, which is letting us know the times that we are in. And what are the times that we're in? Matter of fact, let me start with this. The times we're in the end times. We are in the end times. Now, all this instability is being caused by who is actually ruling. Ecclesiasticus 10 or Sirach, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is a wise man, is well ordered. So Esau is not a prudent or wise man, nor is Donald Trump, who is the current king of Babylon, right, which is flanked by the shadow government, which are the Illuminati, the elite. So this government is clearly not well ordered, and there's not prudence with the people that's actually behind it. Because as the king is, so are the people. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, and who's the ruler of this city, this population of citizens, Babylon the Great. Well, Donald Trump is the actual, he's the, what do you call it? He's the face card. He's the figurehead, as people know it to be. He's the figurehead. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So this chaos is going on, confusion. That's why this place is known as Babylon, which means confusion. So that's the people are confused. An unwise king destroyed this people. So you're seeing an unwise king ruling, and you're seeing Babylon circling the drain even faster. But through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. Verse 4, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Adawan, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. So clearly right now, Esau is not one that is profitable, because all hell is starting to break loose more and more. So that shows that who's ruling, as it says in Proverbs, the 29th chapter, in the 2nd verse, that when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. But when the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice. So clearly this shows that the wicked are in authority, because the earth and the people are mourning, and great mourning is what's to come. Great mourning is what's to come. Now, let's leave this and get a few precepts. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter. A oldie but a goodie. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. It says, I'll start at 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? How are we going to know when we're in the end times from the times that was being spoken of during the time of Ezra, or the prophet Ezra, which was roughly 2,500 years ago, 500 years before the coming of the Messiah, Yahushua, which has been over 2,000 years. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followed? The first to rule has been Esau's rule. And then when is Jacob's rule going to come is what is being asked here. Verse 8, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So what we're seeing is the end of Esau's rule, his age. So his world is spiraling out of control, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. So Esau is the end of this age that we are in. So that means Jacob's rule is to come. So that means we're getting closer. Do we have an actual time-stamped date on it? No. No man know the coming of the Son of the Most High except for Yahweh, the Heavenly Father. But we know we're getting closer because all the signs show us and let us know the times we will be in. As a matter of fact, let's go here to 2nd Ezra 9 before we go there. 2nd Ezra 9, how do we know what time we are in? 2nd Ezra 9 and 1, because it was asked in 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, starting at the 7th verse. How are we going to know the difference between the times we are in? 2nd Ezra 9 and 1, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and these protests that are going on, this has been going on all throughout Europe in the last 5 to 6 months, right? In different parts of the world, there's been protests growing more and more. This is the uproars of the people. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. These are all the things that's happening now. Those birth pains, which are going to grow more and more, those Braxton Hicks, because this is what the Most High promised was going to happen. So it's going to become very tumultuous on the earth, very dark. And this is because there's a transition of power. And we're witnessing Esau's power, right, being flushed down the drain, and then the rise of Israel. Quam Yasha'Allah, rise Israel. So that's what we're seeing. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. And it tells you in Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter, that better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patient of spirit is better than the proud of spirit. The proud of spirit is Esau and 2/3 of you Israelites that refuse this truth, right? That are non-believers, naysayers, disobedient children. So now that the transition of power is coming to show, let me go back here. It's coming to show that the righteous are going to be justified and vindicated. So now we can go to 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, because we're living 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter now. The meaning is upon us. We're no longer going to wait for this to happen. It's starting now for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. Although we don't have a stamped time and date, or month. We don't know that, but we know because the signs let us know. So that's all the more reason to be cleaving more and more unto the Most High. 2nd Ezra 16 and verse 17, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Ezra is back here now. He knew that he would be here in this time. Who is going to deliver me in these times? And that's the question that we all should be asking ourselves, right? We need a deliverer. We need Yahushua. He's the deliverer. So we're going to need preservation in order to receive salvation. We're going to be preserved by this word when you read Isaiah 33 and verse 6. This wisdom and knowledge is what's going to stabilize the believers. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows, we're in a time of great sorrow on the earth. And great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. And this is also known as the time of great tribulation. The beginning of wars, wars talked about all the time, daily, for the last handful of 3-4 years. The beginning of war, so more wars are to come, and the powers, the ruling nations, shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do when these evils shall come? So the real, answer to the question, which was, who will deliver me in those days, is, right, what shall I do when these evils shall come? What's going to be the plan of action for 2/3 of our people, those that are non-believers? Well, what do you think is your plan of action during that time? What do you think is going to be? Now, the believers are going to believe in Yahweh Shem Yahweh, and according to the word of the Most High, the elect are going to be saved. So what shall I do when these evils shall come? Verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are set as scourges for amendment. So these things are set up because the Most High is about to make good on his promises that he made to the elect by allowing for Esau to actually be taken out of power. But for all these things, they shall not turn away from their wickedness, meaning our people who don't believe will let the just be just still, let the filthy be filthy still. So if you find yourself not believing, well, it's probably a decent chance, a 66.6% chance for you Israelites, or 2/3, that it's a chance that you could be of the 2/3. A great chance, a greater than a less. It's a greater chance that if you don't believe and you haven't received this truth, that the Most High is not dealing with you. And you might be amongst those that are going to be destroyed. But for all these, they shall not turn away from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So they don't care about the great perils that's coming to the earth and the signs and what's going on. They don't care about that. People are still going to do the same things that they've been doing. Getting high, partying like it's 1999, being given over to folly, being caught up into themselves, living YOLO, doing what you want to do. That's the spirit of Israel. But that is about to come with a great consequence. Let's find out the consequences for living right ungodly. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. Now, with all these trade wars and stuff going on, and all these tariffs being slapped back and forth, this pissing contest, what this is going to lead to, and is leading to already, is global instability, because now the price of goods throughout the whole world is about to go up on everybody, because the scripture said it was going to happen. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And most people are not expecting this to happen. But the believers, we've been reading, believing, and praying, and returning to the Most High, knowing that these things are going to happen. It's going to be worse than any time ever. But for a person that's not in that frame of mind, who haven't been made privy to the knowledge and the truth of this Bible, then they're living as if this is not going to happen. It says, and even then shall evils grow upon earth. So it's only going to get worse. Sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine. A lot of people are about to die from a lack of food, because the resources are about to become more scarce. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So you're going to have a lot of people that's going to die from hunger, and they're going to be caught up into different judgments. Great judgments is coming, where a great slaughter is upon us. So this is what's coming, and there's no way to get out of it. And what is this known as? The time we know of Jacob's trouble. This is Daniel 12, starting at verse 1. Now here, the title, it says, as you see on the screen, the time of the end. So we're in the time of the end. Whether a person believes it or not, or they don't want it to, be thinking negatively, as people say. They don't want to watch the news because none of it is uplifting. But these are the times that we're in. The uplifting comes from knowing that this is vindication, and that the elect are going to be actually preserved. And that if you are a believer and have returned, you could be of that number. You could be of that 33.3%. Daniel 12:1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. That's the archangel Michael. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So the time we're coming into is the worst time that has ever been on the earth or ever will be. Continuing on. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. The elect are going to be delivered. So the elect are looking for deliverance. Every one that shall be found written in the book. The book is the book of life. Everyone that's going to be found written in the book of life. So deliverance. We're in a time of great devastation and destruction, but deliverance is on the other side of that. Right? There's going to be actually light at the end of the tunnel. Now, let's get this one here. We know in Jeremiah the 30th chapter. So that's what we're coming into. Coming into some dark times. It's going to get even darker. Jeremiah 30:5. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. That's why Ezra said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? A time of great sorrow. So that's what we're coming into. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. So this place spiraling out of control and falling apart at the seam is the beginning of that great fear. Great fear. The keepers of the house, which are those that are the investors that, that actually keep the economy going, so to speak, they're in great fear all around the world. It says, ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hand on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So the elect are going to be saved out of Jacob's trouble. That's a promise from the Most High. So to be a believer now, what a time to be alive, to be a believer, to be one that has what I call a puncher's chance at salvation. As long as you endure unto the end, the elect are going to do that. They're going to endure to the end. Revelation 18 and verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven. That's the children of Israel, starting with the elect. That's the heaven here today. And ye holy apostles. So the men of the Lord are back. Those that were sent out are the apostles, which those that are sent out are those that are doing the work of the Adawan of the Lord, day in and day out, on and off camera. And prophets, the prophets are back. For the Most High hath avenged you on her. Vengeance is about to be taken on Babylon the Great, is letting us know. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. So ultimately the missiles, which is what this is symbolic of, that stone is religious symbology, which is ultimately speaking about Yahweh Shah returning, but the missiles hitting Babylon. But Yahweh Shah is also known as that stone, that great stone. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. The sea is what? Into the earth. So there's going to be missiles flying throughout the earth, but more specifically directly here in Babylon the Great, which this chapter and the chapter before covers that. Destruction and post-destruction. And cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. So Babylon is coming down with great violence. So great violence is what's going to take this place out. The uproars of the people, the sedition among men, the overthrow of the government, the civil unrest, the lack of food, the famine of the word, the men of the Lord, basically, which is the Most High turning away his face. All of this is what's brewing right now. Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. So that's how Babylon's going to go out. Chaotically. Right? And shall be found no more at all. So this is, as I often say, the swan song. This is the end, right, of Esau. We're seeing that, and that is being perpetuated more and more. So Jacob's trouble, is upon us. And a part of Jacob's trouble, we know, is the MOTB, the mark of the beast, is going to be implemented when you read Revelation, the 13th chapter, the 16th verse on down. And World War III, which is the missiles, which is the end game for the rule of the wicked, which was 2 Ezra 6 and 9 that we read earlier in the lesson. That's the end game for the wicked, for the rule of the wicked, for his world. Now, that's beautiful. So what's the mind frame and mindset are we to have? Because at this point, nobody's opinion and, any of that don't matter no more. That's out the window. Your opinion, what you think and how you feel and, private interpretation. Well, I feel like this. No, the words of the Most High is the only thing that matter. And if you can't get down with that, the Most High is going to destroy you because he has not put the spirit on you to be able to receive and know what time you're in and to receive the fact that his son is about to return. It couldn't be more clear. So nobody's opinion matters. It don't mean nothing. Now, let's continue to go and show that. Romans 3 and verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew? What advantage is there in being an Israelite and being enlightened and returning to the truth and having faith? For what advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? So those that have returned, what profit is there in being in the faith? Verse 2. Much every way, chiefly first, because that unto them, the believers, were committed the oracles of the Most High. Now, what are the oracles of the Most High? Revelation 3 and 2. Yes, there are great benefits. First of all, the Jews, which are the Israelites, were entrusted with the whole revelation of God, the divine revelation, the understanding, meaning the elect know what time it is. They've been given the understanding to know what's going on. And that has led to the gift of faith that the believers possess. Romans 3 and 3. For what if some did not believe? So what if your opinion is not in line with the words of the Most High? Romans 3 and 3 again. For what if some did not believe? What about those that would be naysayers, gainsayers? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? So is unbelief going to change what prophecy has said? Let's see if unbelief is going to change, prophecy. This comes to mind. 2 Ezra 15 and 4. For all the unfaithful, the unbelievers, shall die in their unfaithfulness. Let's read it again. 2 Ezra 15 and 4. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So being a non-believer is the only thing, is the main thing, that's going to lead to the death of a lot of people, not having faith. And that's a gift from the Most High. When you read Ephesians 2 and 8. Romans 3 and 3 again. What if some did not believe? Your opinion don't matter no more. It doesn't matter. Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? That's not going to change prophecy. Your unbelief ain't going to make the Most High, repent and change his mind. So unbelief is going to lead to death. That's what comes from unbelief in the times that we're coming into. And that's going to become more and more apparent because to a lot of people, that's still not apparent. Meaning, well, at this time, victuals are so good, cheap on the earth. Tariffs could happen. Gas could go up a little bit. The cost of food could go up. The cost of housing, all that can, go up. And, but at the end of the day, life is still going. Well, we're going to see. We're going to see if that same mindset is going to prevail here very soon. Sooner than later. Let's say it that way. Matthew 24:35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, the words of Yahushua, but my word shall not pass away. So the word is the only thing that's left for the believers. The word is the only thing that is left. So if you ain't down with the words of the Most High and you ain't returning to him, you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and you Israelites, foreigners are scattered amongst the nations, those that can hear and receive this word, for those, then there's a way out. For everybody else, there's only judgment. So with that, I want to give all praises, infinite honor and glory to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. All praises be to the Most High God, Yahweh, and his Son, whose name is Yahawashi, our Lord and Savior and Governor, who's soon to return. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel, Barakim La, Habayath, Madabudah. Blessings to the house of David, which are your brothers laboring, day in and day out, giving all diligence, making your calling of election sure, and to the Akim and Akwath that listen and believe on the glorious gospel being preached. Unto you I say, Shalom.